Today is June 2nd. Today we're going to talk about the monthly close of May and what we can look forward to for the price of Bitcoin in June and going forward for the remainder of the year. Before we begin, please read this disclaimer and you can pause this video as you read it. Okay, so we just had a monthly close for May, and this is going to be, in retrospect, one of the worst months in the history of Bitcoin. As you can see, we had about a 35% drawdown, which is very big. This is just almost as bad as the November 2018 drop, right, when we broke from this descending triangle. So it's not the worst month, but it's a pretty bad month, and I believe it is the worst month of any bull market, like 2017, 2013. Well, this one was worse, but this one started the bear market, and this drop, it's still possible we can still go up higher. So this could be one of the largest mid-cycle drops that we've had. Not absolute, just month basis, right? So if we recover from this drawdown in the last 2 months and we continue up higher, I do think that this could just end up being a mid-cycle pullback correction, right? A large correction, but still correction nonetheless, before we go up higher to my target of 100,000 and beyond for Bitcoin. Now, let's look at the short-term technicals. So obviously we had this huge drawdown, right? The reason why we pulled back so hard is that we failed multiple support levels that we established over a long period, right? Let's start from the beginning, or the beginning of this massive breakout, right? It started in October last year. We were above our moving averages, right? All three of them. And the important thing was the short-term moving average, the 50-day simple moving average, the silver line. We held it here, but we failed to hold it over here, right? And we broke down, found support on 100, tried to stay above the 50-day, but failed to break that, to hold that again, right? Now our Fibonacci line also strong support and resistance, right? Strong resistance over here, broke that, flipped that to support, broke up higher, came down, retest, found support over here, went up higher, found resistance over here, came down, retested, flipped this to support and went up higher, resistance around here and around here. Finally, we weren't able to hold these support levels that we established here and here. And over here, we broke the support level. So now, this level around 47,000 is going to be strong support as we move up higher. But we still have 3 key levels that we need to go up, right? It's good that we're finding strong support down here, right? We came down here, we touched 30,000. This was strong support. Why? Because we held support back in late January in our first correction when we came down and touched the same Fibonacci support level, right? So it seems like this is going to be a strong floor, for now at least. But what we want to see is we want to see the price come up and close above our first level, which is 40,000, right? So there's 3 key levels of resistance I want to see Bitcoin break through, and that is 40,000, which is right around the previous resistance level that we set back in January, right over here. So right around 40,000, right? And the reason is that, and if we just zoom into a 4-hour chart, we had short-term resistance around 40,000 here and here, right? And so what we want to see is if we're going to form a bullish W pattern, we want to see, and we do have slight higher lows, right, which is good. That means that there's buyers stepping in every time it pulls back. But what we want to see is continuation. We want to see fall through on this pattern. What I want to see is us to break a strong break up of 40,000, perhaps come down, retest 40,000, hold it as support, and continue higher. That way we cultivate those higher lows, and we turn this into a W pattern that's fulfilled to the upside, right? Otherwise, we aren't able to break above 40,000. It is likely that we will continue to roll over, retest support, will eventually break below, right? We don't want to keep retesting the support level, and especially 30,000, that is a strong level that we must hold. Otherwise, I think Bitcoin will plunge down to 20,000 into a bear market, right? So 40,000 is that first resistance level that we must break through that was pretty much established back in January as our first resistance level, leading to our first correction. Now, besides 40,000, the next level is going to be our 200-day simple moving average, which is this blue line. Now, this blue line is important, right? I talked about this in multiple videos in the past, how in our previous bull cycle in 2017, we always held above the blue line, and that blue line is our 200-day simple moving average. This is the long-term moving average, right? You look at this entire run from late 2015 all the way to late 2017, we never closed below the blue line. Even when we had this major dip in the summer of 2016, we still wicked up and closed above the blue line. But even then, our pullbacks have been more and more shallow all the way until we had this blow up top in late 2017, where it just went parabolic straight up, right? So we always held the blue line as strong support. Right now, obviously, we've broken below, and this is not good. The longer we stay below, the worse it is, right? So what we want is we want the bulls to come in and push the price higher above the blue line, right? Past 40,000, which is the first level of resistance, what we just talked about. Now this blue line is currently around 41,000, and by the time we get above, it'll probably be around 42,000. But what we want to see is not only break below the 40,000 resistance I just talked about, but also above the blue line. We want to stay above the blue line. So we come down, we must find support and push up higher, because the longer we stay below the 200-day, the blue line, the more likely we are to plunge into a bear market and fail to hold support and plunge lower, right? So we need the bulls to step in and push that price higher. Now the third level of resistance in the short to medium term is this Fibonacci support level, resistance level over here at 47,000, right? Notice how we held support over here and over here, and that held as strong support as the price of Bitcoin went sideways in this Fibonacci channel. But now that we've broken below the support over here, right, back in mid-May, we now are going to face strong resistance around 47,000. And so I think if we can break through 50,000, will definitely be in the cards. But we first have these three levels of resistance around 40,000, 41, 42,000, and 47,000, right? Around these levels. Another thing to notice is, of course, this bearish cross. Now, this isn't as bad as if we have these moving averages cross the 200. Once we have this cross the 200, that's really bad, because that's death cross, right? 50 crossing 200. But for now, we're safe. And as long as we get the price back above these moving averages, we should be fine, even if this does cross in the short term, right? Because the price coming up above these moving averages will eventually bring the moving averages up again into a more bullish posture. Okay, so that's the short to medium term. Let's look at our oscillators. MACD is looking a lot more bullish than it was in our last video. We finally have a bullish cross. However, we want to see continuation into positive territory. We're still in negative MACD territory, right? Histogram is printing small green bars, but we want to see more momentum to the upside. We talked about this in multiple videos in the past, how for many months now we've been in a bearish divergence with the MACD, the oscillators coming down, right? And not only the MACD, but also the RSI coming down. And at the same time, while this is coming down, the price going up. So that's a bearish divergence. It means that the momentum is starting to die off. The price is going up, but there's not a lot of strong buying pressure pushing the price higher, right? So this basically was indicative of a distribution, right? Sellers, there's more sellers slowly selling into buyers coming in. The sellers were dumping onto the buyers, basically, instead of the buyers coming in and overwhelming the sellers and pushing the price to the upside. But now we're forming a strong possible bottom here, right? We talked about this, how this could be a bottom because we had a strong support over here, and we need to hold this level and continue up higher and basically push the momentum to the upside. So what we're seeing on the oscillators now, essentially this 50% drawdown, we had from the top around 65,000, we've had more than a 50% plunge, but this is resetting the oscillators, right? So now that we are oversold, getting more into neutral territory, that gives us more upside, right? We were talking about how the RSI came below 30 for the first time in over a year, and this is very rare. It's very rare when Bitcoin's RSI goes below 30, but historically when it has gone below 30, that has been a good time to buy, right? So right now, what we're seeing is cautious optimism in the markets right now, and we want to see this hold, because people are also talking about how this could be a inverse head and shoulders, right? Shoulder, head, and sorry, draw it better. Shoulder, head, shoulder. And if this plays out, then definitely this will come down pretty hard, right? So what we want to see is, sorry, it's a head and shoulders, not an inverse head and shoulders. Head and shoulders, right? The shoulders here, the head, and of course the shoulder over here. Yeah, let me try it again. Shoulder, head, shoulders. And if that plays out, this will definitely plunge, right? So what we want to do is to invalidate the head and shoulder pattern by going up high and with strong momentum, push our oscillators up as well, right? Okay, so let's look at the fear and greed index, still in fear, 23. So historically, right, the last time we've been this low was back in the pandemic in March, and that also was a good time to buy. So right now, there's a lot of indicators telling us that Bitcoin is oversold, and this could be a good time to buy. Obviously, just to reiterate, this is not a financial advice channel. This is entertainment, my own analysis, right? You have to do your own research, your own due diligence, and make your own financial decisions. But based on the chart, based on the technicals, historical technicals, when we have conditions where it's oversold, right, 50% drawdown, oscillators in oversold territory, this has been a good time to buy. And right now, I think that bulls are fighting hard to keep the price above this Fibonacci support level around 30,000, right? Let's look at the futures market, right? CME futures market. Yes, we have some gap ups, right? But the thing is, like, Bitcoin has always filled these down gaps, right? Up gaps don't necessarily have to come down and fill, but these down gaps has historically always filled. So if we just go based on that thesis, then we should see the Bitcoin recover, go up higher, and fill these gaps along the upside, right? I don't know the exact direction or journey that it's going to happen. I don't know if it's going to go straight up, if it's going to go sideways and go up, but I know that eventually the probability of it coming up and filling these gaps is a lot higher than it is to go lower, right? Because Bitcoin historically has filled all the down gaps. So that's another thing that's making me bullish right now, especially now that we seem to be finding a bottom, right? We've been going sideways for several weeks now. Seems like this is where the bulls are comfortable fighting and defending these levels, right? The whales are comfortable coming in, stepping in, and buying right now. And we talked about this in a previous video that Elon Musk was one of the reasons this price came down. But we also his concern was that Bitcoin mining was not sustainable or energy good for the environment, right? But he and a lot of different Bitcoin miners, along with Michael Saylor, formed a council. So now there's more optimism around Bitcoin in terms of the amount of energy it's using, whether it's clean or not. And so I think that ultimately that's going to be that's going to lead to more positive sentiment around cryptocurrencies and miners, especially around like institutions, which are the big money that will come in and drive the price even higher, right? And who knows, even Elon Musk, he might reverse his decision and allow Tesla to accept Bitcoin as payment again, and that will definitely lead to a strong surge. But this is all just speculation, and it's going to take a lot more time to play out. But for now, Bitcoin seems to be holding pretty strong, right? Let's talk about the monthly close. So we talked in the beginning of this video how this was one of the biggest monthly red candles in history. But I think that we need to look at this in context, right? We had 6 consecutive green candles from October all the way up to March, right? And I talked about when I started making videos for this channel in March, I talked about how I wanted to see at least one red candle, right? Either in April or May, because I wanted to see this thing pull back and people taking profits, like see the market kind of cool off for a bit, right? And consolidate before heading higher. Now we ended up getting 2 red candles in a row, which is not necessarily a bad thing because we saw something similar in 2013, right? Let's compare this to the last 2 massive bull years, right? 2017 and 2013, right? In these years, you see overwhelmingly more green candles than red candles, right? Whereas in Bitcoin bear market years, right? 2018 and also 2014, we've seen more red candles than green candles. So right now, if we give benefit of the doubt, we give benefit of the doubt to the bulls, it does seem like we are still in a bull market cycle, right? And I said that it's very important that June closes green. We don't want to see 3 consecutive red monthly candles because we never got 3 consecutive red monthly candles in 2017 or in 2014. Even in 2014, we had these 2 consecutive red candles after a huge run here, right? Here. But that was it, right? We had a green candle in the following month, and then of course we went up a lot higher. Now let's look closely at this, right? This is also 6 consecutive green candles in the monthly chart, followed by 2 red candles over here, and then of course a move higher. Same thing as we're seeing right now, 6 consecutive monthly green candles followed by 2 red candles. So I do think that something like this might be playing out, where we have in my mid-cycle temporary top a big drawdown of 50% and then a push up higher to new all-time highs, in my opinion, over $100,000 by the end of this year. Obviously, in 2013, things were a lot more volatile, so we had an 80% drawdown. This time, things are a little bit more stable, if you can call it 50% drawdown stable, which, you know, in cryptocurrency is not really as bad, right? In stock market, it would be bad, but like the cryptocurrency, 50% drawdown is not too out of the picture, right? Especially since we had an 80% drawdown with a similar fractal pattern here, right? Here. So, yeah, so what I'm looking for June is I want to see more bulls coming in and pushing the price higher. If this month closes red, I think the probability of Bitcoin entering a bear market is a lot higher. So, but for now, it does seem like there's some more bullish momentum coming in. Not only buyers stepping in, but also in the news, right? A lot of the FUD that we saw in regards to not only Elon Musk, but also China, like banning cryptocurrencies again for like the 100th time. affecting miners, trying to shut down miners and stuff like that, which really isn't that bad because right now vast majority of Bitcoin mining is in China. So the fact that we're breaking up the mining is just going to distribute the mining power around the world a lot more evenly. It makes it harder for any collusion to happen between miners to attack the network, right? So ultimately, I do think short term it's going to hit the short term we've seen a hit in the price, but long term it's actually good for the price of Bitcoin and for the security and the safety of the Bitcoin network. And it just makes it a lot more attractive in terms of an investment, in terms of cryptocurrency security, and the value should go up as a reflection of that. So that's Bitcoin in the short to long term on all time frames. I am bullish on Bitcoin. I do expect it to go up higher. And I just want to end this video talking about the different indicators we've gone through in previous videos and how things are looking very bullish for a nice run in June. So obviously we talked about the Pi cycle top in a couple of videos in the past. And now I'm going to be honest and transparent. I was not expecting this to pull back, right? For me, I'm an optimist. I'm hopeful. So when I was making these videos leading up to the cross, I thought that the cross would be a false positive. So I'll admit that I was wrong. This obviously ended up playing out, and we saw a huge 50% drawdown when we saw a crossover here, right? Oh, let me do a better chart. So when we saw a cross, I was optimistic because we crossed, and then we saw the price stay above for a couple of days, right? We didn't see it immediately plunge, right? And so I was optimistic, hopeful that we can go up a lot higher because this was a blowout top when we crossed in the past, right? We had 3 crosses in the past that were blowout tops, like immediately parabolic moves leading into a crash. But here we saw Bitcoin kind of like consolidate for a couple of months, just going sideways. So I was hopeful that Bitcoin would be able to survive this and it would be a false positive, but obviously it didn't. Now the interesting thing is that the lines have actually crossed positive, right? The green line is above this orange line, which is usually a good time to buy in, right? When the green line is above the orange line, we see the price move up higher. So that's a very interesting thing. And the funny thing about that is that it actually crossed very soon after we had the bearish cross, right? If we zoom in here, we can see that the orange line crossed above the green line, which triggered the dotted line to happen, and that marked the top. And we had a peak a couple days later, but just a couple of days later, we also had a bullish cross, right? The green cross above the orange line again. So usually that is a good time to buy. So that's just something to think about. Very interesting chart. We'll see how this plays out. But I am taking this as a bullish indicator to get back in. Other indicators, we talked about how the 2-year multiplier, when we were up here, we found a wall. We hit a wall up here. And this ended up being a short-term ceiling for us. We couldn't go above this, right? In the past, we've seen when Bitcoin becomes overbought and these indicators are telling us to sell, we were able to break through but also sustain above this orange line for quite a while, right? And we saw how it became shaded here, but we didn't even break above this line, right? We still have a long way to go, in my opinion. And the fact is, as we've gone sideways, consolidated over the last couple of months, this upper boundary line, right, has gone up higher, giving us a higher ceiling for which Bitcoin can go up, right? So not only that, so this in retrospect could be actually a good thing, right? The fact that we weren't able to break above this line, right? We just consolidated and came down pretty hard. Meanwhile, this line is going up higher, giving us a higher ceiling. So when we do recover from this and go up higher, we're gonna have a higher ceiling. And not only that, when we break above the ceiling and become overbought, that overbought territory could be a lot higher, maybe in the $300,000, $400,000 range, right? So, but that all depends on how long it takes Bitcoin to recover. But we want to see this thing go sideways and go up higher so that the line will continue up higher, right? If this thing rolls down to like 20,000, then of course we're going to see the upper boundary roll over too. So, but I'm hopeful that it'll go up higher. But all I'm saying is that this is giving us a lot of upside momentum, a lot upside movement for the remainder of the year, seeing as we haven't even broken above the line. But when we do, that will easily be over 100,000, maybe even 2, 3, 400,000. So a lot to look forward to in terms of the market cycle top for this year. Now, Puell multiple, right? This has been a good at calling the tops when we see sharp spikes into this shaded orange area, right? We haven't even penetrated this shaded orange area yet, right? Which implies that we're possibly in a mid-cycle correction like we had over here when we were moving sideways in similar ranges like June of 2017, right? So the fact that we're still fairly not necessarily oversold like in the green area, but we're still pretty in neutral territory, giving a lot of room to run up and also a lot of room for the price to push up higher before this signals overbought territory, right? Golden ratio multiplier. This indicator tells us to sell when the price hits the dotted line, right? Now we haven't even reached the dotted line. We haven't been able to really hold above the purple line for a long time, right? And the last time we had similar price action, right? Back in June and September, the two big corrections in late 2017, we hit the purple line and came down to the green line, right, and the red line. Right now, we're having a similar situation where we hit the purple line, we come down, and we're consolidating below the green line. And these dotted line continues to move up higher, right? Last time we touched these dotted lines was an indicator to sell. So the fact is, this dotted line continues to move up higher and higher the longer we consolidate, right? And this dotted line right now is at 141, which suggests that if Bitcoin were to recover by the end of this year, we should at least hit $141,000 for the maximum top, right? But that's just at least, because that's the minimum, because this is going to continue up higher, right? So who knows where this will be when we finally reach the top. Could be over 250, maybe 300, 400,000. So a lot more bullish, optimistic, perhaps higher price targets that could be possible by the end of this year. Z-score, right? Z-score again has predicted the top when we have this huge spike, right, in this indicator, not only through the shaded orange line, through the shaded orange area, but above it, right here, 2013 April, 2013 December, and 2013 December here. So we haven't even penetrated this line at. So this is suggesting that we're still in a mid-cycle correction and that there's still a lot of upside to go, right? I mean, we're fairly not as overbought in this as when the Z-score dipped to the green area, but still in neutral bearish territory, right? So still a lot of upside to come, which could give us more upside in the price, right, in the Z-score. Now, last I want to look at the stock to flow model, which is everybody's favorite indicator, right? Historically, Bitcoin, when it is in a bull cycle, it'll stay below this red line, right? And then eventually it'll break above and become very overbought, right? Extended. We're not even above this line yet, and we're actually still below, right? So around similar to July of 2017. So if we were to follow a similar pattern to 2017, we could see this thing break above this line and overshoot maybe to like 300, 400,000. So who knows? You know, to me, I feel like there's just a lot more bullish outlook than there are bearish outlooks, right? Scenarios. And I just went through all these indicators that are telling us now Bitcoin is either overbought or overbought neutral, right? And of course, as we're making this video, Bitcoin continues to go up higher and recover, stage a strong recovery. So overall, my outlook for June is bullish. I want us to close the month of June green, right? I talked about this. We don't want to see us close another red candle, monthly candle, right? Because we never had 3 consecutive monthly red candles in a row in a bull year, 2013, 2017. So if we're able to close a green candle for the month of June, I believe that the probability of the price of Bitcoin going up higher is a lot higher than it is going lower and plunging into a bear market. But let's reiterate and go over the short term, what I want to see in the short term again, right? The bare minimum I want to see is at least the whole 30,000, right? We already found strong support over here, and we found strong support in the past, 30,000. I want to see us also break 40,000, which again is previous resistance back in June, down here, 40,000. That's our first level of resistance, is 40,000. The next level is going to be the 200-day simple moving average, which is this blue line, which is around 41,000, maybe 42,000 by the time we reach it, right? We want to break above and we want to stay above this blue line, right? Because like I said, in 2017, the bull run from 2015 to 2017, we always stayed above the blue line. We never closed below. The longer we stay below this blue line, the 200-day, the higher the probability that we are going to plunge into a bear market. So we need the bulls to come in and push the price higher. Not only the price higher, but reset these oscillators higher into from oversold territory into neutral to overbought territory, right? And we want to bring these moving averages up into a more bullish posture instead of them coming out and crossing. Next level resistance is going to be 47,000, which is this Fibonacci resistance level, which used to be support back here and here. We flipped it to resistance, so this is going to be a hard level. So our journey of Bitcoin up to 50,000 is going to be fairly difficult in my opinion, unless we have like some amazing news, maybe from like Elon Musk, right? but I think that Bitcoin likely will move sideways as we grind higher and try to break through these resistance levels and push up higher and reclaim the previous all-time high around 65,000. And I do think that Bitcoin will go up a lot higher to the next resistance level around 80,000 to 100,000 and beyond for the remainder of this year. But let's take it slow. Let's look at these resistance levels one at a time, right? 40, 42, and 47, and all the way up to 50. And I'll definitely update you guys in the next coming days and see how the price action develops, if there's any important major news, and whether Bitcoin can survive this 50% drawdown and close the month of June green, or whether we're going to continue on lower. Now, I am hopeful, and I do believe Bitcoin will recover and we will go up a lot higher, but definitely will update you on the next video and see how it all plays out. Thank you for watching this video. If you found it helpful, useful, or informative, please like this video, leave a comment below, and subscribe for updates. Appreciate your support. Thank you again, and have a great day.